Hi guys. Okay, so we're going to go on to part 3 of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department police reports. This is a report from John Dietering on November 3rd. This is Sergeant Colburn and myself, Dietering, did attempt to make contact at the residence of George Zipperer. We initially received no response to our repeated knocks at the door. Manitowoc County Dispatch was advised to place calls to the phone number for the Zipperers, and they indicated they had reached an answering machine. I also attempted to contact the Zipperer residence via cell phone and obtain the same results. The door was ultimately answered by George Zipperer. George is extremely belligerent initially, and it was my impression that he was apparently intoxicated. George indicated to me that the person from Auto Trader had been at his residence and that he wanted her arrested. He indicated that she had no permission to be on his property and therefore she was trespassing. George continued in a boisterous manner even after I advised him that Teresa Hallbeck had been reported as a missing person and that his telephone number was one of the last numbers she had placed outgoing telephone calls to from her cell phone. I also spoke with George Zipperer's son, Jason Zipperer, and still I don't know why they're calling Jason his son. I believe it's supposed to be his grandson. At the same address and phone, he indicated that he had advertised a 77 Pontiac Firebird for sale, but to his knowledge, he had not made any contact with Auto Trader to have it advertised. I asked Jason and George whether either of them had made contact with Auto Trader to schedule a photography shoot of the vehicle. Jason indicated he did not, and George further denied calling the Auto Trader magazine. So one of them is lying. One of them is lying about talking to Auto Trader in some way. I did address statements made apparently by George to Corporal Lemieux. See Lemieux's detailed report for information concerning this. George and this was about his statement saying that his son Jason had moved to Alaska for work and that he was thinking about going the following week as well, and that he spelled his name incorrectly, his last name incorrectly, and he could not remember, or he didn't know what his birthday was, his own birthday. So this was them referring to that. I did address the statements made apparently by George to Corporal Lemieux. George indicated that he had in fact told Corporal Lemieux that his son Jason was on his way to Alaska to find work. Zipper indicated that he does this to have a little fun when people who he does not know call his phone. Again, I think this is, when you're being told that this person who, whether you think they're trespassing or not, whether you think, something is going on, whatever, but when you've been told that this is a missing person, it's not really the time to be joking, George. And you just very inappropriate. So he goes on. At 21:53 hours, I was allowed into the Zipperer residence. I did review voicemail messages left on the answering machine and caller IDs. I did locate a caller ID entry on October 31st at 2:12 p.m. from Teresa's phone number. I did review the voicemail messages and did locate a voicemail message from Teresa Hallbeck indicating that she was calling on Monday about 2:15 p.m. She stated she was in the neighborhood and she was trying to photograph a 1977 Pontiac Firebird. She stated that she was having problems finding the residence and hoped to do so in the next few minutes. It should be noted that this voicemail message or answering machine message was subsequently copied by Detective Jacobs on Sunday, November 6th. So that's good to know, that this actually did happen, that she did actually call. Okay, and now this is from Mark Wiegert's report on November 3rd. This is where he's speaking with Dawn Pliska. She did state when she had talked to Teresa, Teresa had told her she was going to go out to the Avery property to take the photo. Dawn states that Teresa seemed fine on the phone when she had spoken with her. Dawn states that Teresa always seemed to be a pretty upbeat person when she speaks to her and does not know of any type of problems that Teresa would have. That's good to see. Dawn says this, but Angela said, that there was some other things that she might have been concerned about. But since Dawn was the one that actually spoke with her that day, I'm going to take this as probably more accurate. I asked Dawn if Teresa had ever been to the George Zipper residence before. Dawn stated that she did not believe so, and Teresa had never mentioned anything about the Zippers. That was the end of my phone conversation with Dawn. Okay, this is from another report from Wiegert on November 3rd. This is about Daniel Morrow. In reviewing, on November 3rd at 22:30 hours, in reviewing Teresa's phone records, it indicates she made a phone call on October 31st at 11:31 a.m. to a Green Bay number. In checking the number in a reverse directory, I found it belonged to Daniel Morrow in the city of Green Bay. I did make phone contact with Daniel at approximately 22:30 hours. Daniel stated he did receive a phone call from Teresa Hallbach. Daniel states she indicated she would be coming to take a picture of his vehicle for Auto Trader magazine. Daniel stated she was supposed to come on today's date, November 3rd. He states he was not home and does not know if she would have shown up to take that picture or not. He could not provide me with any other pertinent information in reference to Teresa's whereabouts. So this is kind of important because he's acting like he believes Teresa is supposed to show up on November 3rd still to take the picture, but he's not aware if she did or not because he wasn't home. So it sounds to me like he was unaware that she was missing at that time. Okay. Here's something interesting. This is Deputy Gary Schultz on November 4th. On November 4th at 7:30 a.m., I, Deputy Gary Schultz, arrived at work. I spoke briefly with Sheriff Jerry Poggle, who requested that I assist investigators on this complaint. Sheriff Poggle asked that I make contact with the seniors at Hilbert High School to see if any information could be gained, as well as check the area in the town of Brillion due to my familiarity with the area to see if I could locate Teresa's vehicle. So I'm wondering, why is Poggle sending Deputy Schultz out to speak with the seniors at this high school? From what I understand, this is not the high school that that your grandson goes to. It's not. Jason Zipper indicates he attends Lincoln High School in Manitowoc. So why are they going out to Hilbert High School to talk to the seniors? Is this Brennan and Blaine's high school? I'm not sure, but why are they talking to only the seniors? So I don't understand this at all. Sheriff Poggle also asked that I look into a recently called phone number, and then gives the phone number to see if I could ascertain who that number came back to. I pulled over to the side of the road and dialed that number. I, at that time, received the voicemail of Bradley C. DJ. I left a message for Bradley C., whomever that may be, to contact me as soon as he received this message. I then searched the area of CTHK, an area of Jodar Road, namely the sand pits located on the north side owned by Dave Jeanette and Company. I was unable to locate anything. I guess that's due to Poggle's orders asking him to look around. It should be noted prior to leaving the sheriff's department, I had what ended up to be Bradley C's number run through our computer system. Dispatch advised it came back to Melissa Schultz, who resided at this address. After checking the area of CTHK, I drove to that residence to see if I could locate Melissa Schultz. I arrived at the residence, the address, at approximately 9:40 a.m. I spoke with one resident of that address, identified as Rachel Schindler. She indicates she and John Propson lived together at that address, along with a Pete Frank who lives in the other apartment. In speaking with Rachel, she indicates she doesn't know Melissa Schultz or Teresa Hallbach. So, that's interesting and confusing. Let's see. I then stopped by the Hilbert High School at approximately 11 a.m. By way of the internet, I searched the phone number again, along with Bradley C. DJ. While doing so, I came across a website devoted to Dr. Music's DJs. While looking through that website, I did come across the name Bradley C., who gave several email addresses. I subsequently went to Bradley C.'s website and gives the website. While looking through Bradley C.'s website, I found a couple of photos showing an adult male, later identified as Bradley Check, with Teresa Hallbach. After finding these websites, I printed these pages and subsequently gave copies of that information to the investigative staff. I also notified Sheriff Poggle of the photos. In speaking with an occupant of the trailer court, I was able to verify that Bradley Check lived at that address, and this information was also forwarded to Investigator Wiegert. At approximately 2:10 p.m., Investigator Wiegert and Investigator Dietering arrived and approached the residents to conduct their interview. And not much interesting here. This is about Teresa's financial records, a friend that called in. This is another friend that called in. Jason Zipper was at school on the day of the 31st. Okay, now we're on to Mark Wiegert. A report by Mark Wiegert on November 4th. He went out to Teresa Hallbach's residence. Upon arrival, I met with Ryan Hillegas, along with several other friends who were at her residence. Ryan stated the last time he had seen Teresa Hallbach was on Sunday, October 30th. Ryan stated that Teresa seemed completely normal and they had talked about Halloween parties. And that was all on that. This is another, this is a report by Mark Wiegert on November 4th. Okay, Investigator Wiegert and Sheriff Poggle met with Jolene Bain at Teresa Hallbach's residence, I guess at this time while they were out there, and they spoke with Ryan. Jolene requested she be able to speak with us alone. Jolene states that she and Teresa had become very good friends recently. According to Jolene, Teresa had confided in her about a relationship she had with a guy by the name of DJ Bradley. Teresa had confided in Jolene that Teresa had taken nude photographs of Bradley and his wife at the time. According to Jolene, after this, Bradley and his wife had broken up and Teresa started dating Bradley. According to Jolene, Teresa stated to her that Bradley was weird and she ended up breaking off the sexual relationship. Jolene did say that Teresa told her Teresa, had gone to a court case between Bradley and his wife in reference to the photos and the negatives of the photos that she had taken of the two naked. She said this would have occurred approximately 5 to 7 months ago. And I don't think we've come across that yet, but we will find out that Teresa apparently took nude photographs of Bradley Check and his current, I guess, at the time, ex-wife. And that apparently she had to go to court over the negatives to those photographs, which later ended up being found at Teresa's residence in a box or something. So I don't know why Teresa had the photographs of Brad and his wife at her house. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll come across all that later. According to Jolene, Teresa and Bradley would only have sex, and Teresa did not have any feelings for him, and it was only physical. She told me Teresa had told her that. According to Jolene, Bradley and his wife were having problems, and he would confide in Teresa about his problems. Teresa also had told Jolene at one time she did not want to continue the relationship. However, Teresa continued to receive phone calls from Bradley. At that time, Sheriff Poggle and I did go back into Teresa's bedroom. I did locate in a trunk directly next to Teresa's bed several nude photos of a male and female. Included with those photos were several negatives. There was a portrait order from Pierce Photography which had the name Bradley and Casey Check. And then it gives their address. It showed a phone number, which is Brad's number. I believe this to be the subject that Jolene had been referring to. Why does Teresa have nudie photos of, Brad and his wife? I don't know. Especially if she's was at some point having some kind of relationship with them. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this video here and we will continue on. Still got more stuff to go over. So thanks for watching.